I'm glad they're so lenient with the hitboxes for the golden bugs that you're flying towards on the way here. Because if they weren't so lenient, then it would be really annoying. Because they're such small targets. And like, sure you're controlling a big bird, but I'm pretty sure that you have to fly into the golden bug with Link himself, and that's how you collect the light bulb. See, this is why I like it better. This is why I want to actually see the hitbox of the thing I'm flying with. Like, I guess it would look awkward seeing a giant square that you're flying around, but it's like I can't really tell what exactly can be hit by something to knock him down, and what part of him has to touch the light balls. Like, that's another convenient thing about the light balls, is they sort of automatically come to you a tiny bit. So you don't ever get a situation where you're stuck in a dead game because a light ball was too close to the ceiling and you couldn't get at it. So that's good. I think it would have been a lot better if the light balls just automatically went into you, rather than you having to manually walk into them. That just feels like pads it out. How are you? That is so stupid. So fucking stupid. Why do you have to talk to her to get the light bug to show up? That's so stupid. How are you supposed to know that? That never happens before at any other point in the game. I remember spending an eternity there. But yeah, now you have to backtrack all the way back to Castletown because for some reason you weren't allowed to make a portal here. Why did they only spawn in now? It just screams padding. There's unused text saying, "You got a green rupee. That's 1 rupee. Load up." That would have been really annoying considering this game has a glitch where every single time you start out, every time you reload a save file, when you walk up to a rupee, it gives you the text box. Imagine if green rupees did that to you too. So it's a really good thing that they didn't decide to do that. Especially weird because they did it in Minish Cap. Like, the first time you ever got a green rupee in that game, they told you what it was. Because apparently they thought you were too stupid to figure out what it was. Link to the Past and Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. Well, Zelda 2 didn't have rupees for some reason. But Link's Awakening didn't do that either. This area is going to be a lot more fun to travel through as a wolf. This is the biggest example of the GameCube's technological limitations. Or at the very least, this town is making the GameCube look like it has horrible technological limitations. Because look at this! Look at all the load times I have to suffer through. Every single time I go to a different section of Castletown, it loads to get me to the next area. Why does it do that? At no other part in the game. Like, these are small sections. Why do I have to sit through a huge loading screen? Like, the overworld, like, does it so much better than this. Like, Hyrule Field doesn't do this. You don't have to sit through a loading screen after you go through the narrow tunnel. That's what the narrow tunnel is for. Why is it's so like it's there's also the fact that this is the first and only area in the game that has nothing but fixed camera. You can't move the camera at all here. It just feels very out of place and jarring. Why is it that I can't move the camera all of a sudden? Why is it that I had to constantly have load times? Like, is the fact that they changed the music for each section really enough to make it so that they need to have a giant load time every single time that you go to a new section? Really? This is very sad. At the very least, this does make you feel something. Like, I felt pretty sorry for that Zoro boy when I was a kid. Like, a lot of things about this plot made me really made me feel something. The Shadow Beast I found terrifying as a kid. The whole Twilight concept was creepy. The Shadow Beasts were creepy. The Zora kid. Well, I never actually remember. I never cared about the kids who were kidnapped. Like, I guess I just recognized it as an excuse plot, an excuse to get Link out of his house. I didn't really, like, I never liked the kids. I never liked Ilya, but yeah, I kind of worry that this plot is a bit too scary for kids. But yeah, it took over 30 seconds for me to swim all the way here. I don't remember there being any music while we're swimming over here either. Maybe there was. But I guess the point is it's trying to be ominous. Like, it started thunderstorming in the twilight. You never saw lightning and thunder in the twilight before. Like, I guess it's programmed to be a third state, a third time of day, and that's why you never see random weather effects. Like, time doesn't pass in the twilight. There's no day to night transition, which is really weird. Like, I thought twilight was just some sort of magical curse, because that's what it's being portrayed as, considering all the weird effects it has. Like, a simple third time a day is not going to make Zora's domain freeze over. I like the music that plays here. It's pretty ominous. It does a really good job as a battle theme. The annoying thing is you get knocked out of your senses mode when you get hit for some bizarre reason, so you have to turn it back on manually. And you can only attack him when you're in senses mode, even though he should still be there. That is so arbitrary. Why do you need to see enemies to be able to attack them? Like, you know for a fact that he isn't missing because the enemies are in the place that you're attacking. So why do you need to see them? And he flies so high above the sky, and there's no higher elevation areas to take advantage of, so you just have to target him. You have to hope that he'll be low enough that you'll be able to jump onto him. And it's so easy to feel like you're cheated out of an opportunity to attack. Getting him on his belly takes forever. And that's the only way that you can really do a lot of damage to him. And I'm pretty sure that if you don't have the midna targeting attack, you'll never be able to beat this guy for this reason alone. And like, as I mentioned before, I think you can skip it. I think you can skip getting it using a spin attack, and then you'll be screwed, provided you'll even be able to make it this far. I don't know why just now they decided to make one of the Twilight bugs giant. I mean, I guess it would have been even more padding to have every single Twilight area have a boss, but still, like, it feels kind of arbitrary. Like, what's the in-universe explanation for, I guess Zant decided, oh, now he's a threat. I have to make sure that he won't get rid of the Twilight, but why didn't you just do that for every region? Zant is such an idiot when you think of it like that. But yeah, now the Light Spirit shows up and he's, like, is he really the right type of animal for Lanayru? He's very infamous for a certain cutscene in the game. But considering that he always has a bowl in his mouth when he talks, can you imagine what his voice would sound like with him talking to you? Like, seriously, imagine trying to say all the words in the scariest cutscene in the game, holding a ball in your mouth like he has. I think that would kind of destroy the scariness of the scene. Imagine if this was voice acted. Imagine if he was saying everything in this scary scene and he sounded like his voice was muffled. No, that's basically what he sound like. I'm sorry. Like, how would he even be able to say any of this to you? Is he telepathic? I guess so. And again, like, why is he a snake? What is it about Lanayru that is associated with snakes? We never see any snakes in Lanayru. With Ordon it made sense because we saw goats. With every other province, Like we saw monkeys in Faerun, but with every other province, oh, Ilia has a scary look on her face. I guess that's a point. Like, all of this imagery with, like, Ilia specifically being shown here, and everyone losing their eyeballs for some unnecessary reason, it's trying very hard to be scary and memorable. And I still find this pretty disturbing. Like seeing them having no eyeballs. I guess it's trying a bit too hard. Like, it succeeds at what it's trying to do. What are these interlopers who excel at magic? They look like Darklink. So there's an entire tribe of just Darklink? How did they mate? They're all male. So, like, I'm assuming, like, a lot of these images are just fake, just made to scare Link. Like, the reason that he's involved in this is to scare Link. Like, obviously Link and Ilia were not there at the time that he's talking about. But yeah, like, who are the interlopers? Like, obviously they're the ancestors of the Twilight. They're the ancestors of the Twilight tribe. But who are they before that? Like, why are they the Sheikah? That's very memorable. Like, that image is probably going to be burned into your brain for the next couple minutes. It doesn't seem, like seriously, is that necessary? Did the game get a higher rating because of this? The hero is supposed to be incorruptible, right? So why is he able to be, like, is he being brainwashed by the light spirit? This is kind of amusing to look at, actually. I guess this is symbolizing him desiring Ilia. Like, the game really wants me to believe that Link is going to end up with Ilia. Like, with the much more recent Zelda games, they're shipping Zelda with Link. But in this game, it's all about Link and Ilia. When Ilia isn't even a sympathetic character. Like, I think I would have preferred it if they're overt with this, like with Link and Malon in Ocarina of Time. Like, it couldn't be like in Saria because Saria is stuck as a kid for her entire life. But yeah. That was a pretty weird scene. And I'm sure voice acting would have done a lot to diminish it. This is part of the reason why I don't entirely think that Zelda should always have voice acting just for the sake of it. Like, I guess I can commend Breath of the Wild for having voice acted cutscenes. Like, they're finally making that leap. And it doesn't seem to be as bad as Super Mario Sunshine since it's not universally hated, just sort of hated. But all I'm saying is if Twilight Princess had voice acting, then I think that that scene, I don't know if they would have actually acted it like he actually has a ball in his mouth the whole time he's talking, but still. Midna is the character who's actually like fully voice acted. Like, she doesn't have English dialogue. I think it's supposed to be Japanese but backwards and sped up. Of course, since you can mash A through her text, you can't really hear all of her voice acting, because the only way you'd be able to hear all of her voice acting is by having her text scroll exactly the speed it normally is supposed to. But I mash A through all the text, so ugh! I really hate how it's possible to talk to NPCs in first person. And speaking of that, you can also, like, let go of a claw shot target in first person too. Here I was trying to show off a glitch where you would use the iron boost with the chicken, and then you would let go, and then like you would turn it, and you would just fly really far. But I guess that didn't happen. It's really tedious failing that minigame because then you gotta go all the way back up, and you gotta pay him every time you want to escape the lake. Like, until you can't warp right now, so you have to pay him just to get out of Lake Hylia. It's a good thing that he doesn't expect you to pay that much. There's 3 different copies of a message text saying, "What's so fun about swinging a stick around?" And an unused text saying there are X number of cows. So there would have been a ranch in this game? I would have liked to see that instead of goats everywhere. And Midna has a funny unused line. "What are you thinking? Don't ask me stuff. Ask Miss Fishing Queen here." So I guess you would have been able to talk to Midna in the fishing tutorial. Unused button commands include cover, resist, put together, and faster. That's weird. Not sure why they'd be in a Zelda game. Midna was going to give you a sword fighting tutorial on a scarecrow. That would have made a lot more sense than... Well, I guess Link is an adult now, so it makes sense that he would already know how to use a sword, but it's like the whole reason they started that tutorial with the kids was because, well, Link was teaching them. So he already knew how to use a sword. So I guess it wouldn't have made much sense for Midna to be giving him his first ever lesson. But yeah, having the bombs to blow up the boulders really does open up a lot of pathways. Like, before you were very railroaded because you were a wolf and you couldn't go exactly where you wanted to because of the boulders. Not that really mattered since it was ultimately linear anyways. Like, there's 2 paths, but both of them, like, well, one leads to Castletown, and the other leads to the bridge. And I guess they didn't want you to waste your time going back to that flammable bridge. Like, they didn't want you to waste time because there were no golden bugs there. The E3 2005 demo had text saying, "You cannot use the Gale Boomerang in this room, in Ook's room." What? Ook's room was the place where you got the Gale Boomerang. Why would it have text? Well, I guess they gave you the Gale Boomerang. I guess the demo gave you the Gale Boomerang. And like, maybe they wanted to keep it a surprise. Maybe they didn't let you, like what's the point of giving you the item in the demo if you can't use it? Like, I guess they would have allowed you to get out of the room.